you got to the airport, obviously you get the first group that jumped on the Gulf Stream and head out of there. How much time was it there that you guys were waiting before the plane
Well,
came?
when we got there, the plane had to stay there. For those that haven't read the book, we didn't put it in the movie. It was in the book. We had a negligent discharge on that Gulf Stream. Our HVAC tech tried to clear his pistol when he got into the bird, and he took his magazine out and didn't rack his slide, and he pulled the trigger, and the bullet actually went in and shot the plane. We're like, holy shit, somebody just shot themselves in the plane. Luckily for us, it lodged in the iron of the seat and didn't break the fuselage. So that plane sat longer than what it was supposed to. It was supposed to load up and go. That first
How long were they on the ground?
probably 15 minutes. And
Okay.
and during that time frame, Dave Ubin was starting to bleed out. We ran out of IV bags, and he was actually seizuring because he was going into seizures, constant convulsions, because tourniquets were. We had 3 tourniquets on everything, and they kept coming loose because of all the blood and sweat and the IV and the just.
Right.
It was just. So he was continually convulsing, and it was. We didn't show in the movie, and it wasn't a panic, but it was a pretty controlled hurry, just trying to get
out of
that
there.
plane out.
Where did that Gulfstream fly to?
It flew back to Tripoli, to the airport, and
to the base you guys went to.
yeah,
also?
to our main CIA base, which was in Tripoli, and that's the majority of the cases. The majority of the CIA bases, the main ones, are in the biggest metropolitan areas.
So how long was that flight?
It's an hour. And so it took him about an hour, but we had an 18 Delta there that had, I don't know where he appeared from. I don't know why he didn't come over, but we also had Bub and Rowan as Delta, so I guess he didn't need to. But there was an actual SF Green Beret 18 Delta in Tripoli. And most of the Libyan doctors at that point from Tripoli, the ones at the hospitals, had been Western trained. So they were able to stabilize Dave and Markov's
You mean
guys.
when they get on the ground in Tripoli, you're talking about?
Yeah, when they got to Tripoli.
Okay. So and the Gulfstream got there.
The Gulfstream
took
got
care
there.
of them. How long were you on the ground before
Hour.
you were on the ground for an hour after that?
We were there for an hour. And it was honestly, it was parody. It was a comedy show when that was going on, because the movie showed us giving keys to the guys to take our cars. And that did happen, but they actually fought over it. And somebody had and they were arguing about the cars, because these are level 7 Mercedes and BMW, and these are top notch cars. I swore I saw one in the paper.
Were they all like bulletproof and things, or not all of them?
What they were all, yeah, they were all bulletproof. All of them were
yeah.
leveled up 7s that we had. But one of the Libyans, when they were jostling for the keys, he had his finger on his AK-47 on his trigger, and he had another negligent discharge. And this was, I remember I was standing here facing away talking to, I think, our country team leader. I can't give his name because I think he's still working, but he did very well. Our Benghazi team leader was awful, but our Tripoli team leader was outstanding. But I was standing, and Jack, I remember, was standing over there, and they just cracked it down, and it went right into the tarmac of the airfield. We turned around, and one was a senior. We didn't show in the movie that one was actually a senior guy. I mean, we showed him, but one of them was really in charge, and he came over and he grabbed him by his scruff and he yanked him out of there, and I never saw that dude again. I don't know what happened.
How many were there? I mean, you guys, how many of you guys were there?
Well, it was the team. So let me see. We got Oz, myself, Jack. Then we had the 3 GRS guys from Tripoli. We had our country team leader, our base team leader, which was 10, and then the 2 D boys, and then one interpreter. So 13. Isn't that the weirdest? It was 13 of us waiting there for a plane, and we didn't know. We had no idea.
It was a Libyan plane, yeah.
As a Libyan Air Force.
So you were on the ground for an hour. A Libyan plane showed up. You said it's an hour flight back to Tripoli.
Yeah.
What I mean, what was the first things when you got on that plane and you guys took off? Like, what were you thinking at that time when the wheels came up? What was going through your mind that first 5 minutes?
I was honestly just happy that we got out of there, because that plane didn't show up for us. It just showed up. I always said testament to God and faith, and you guys that follow me, you know that. I always tell people, have faith, because it always increases your luck. It's amazing how much, if you have faith and believe in God, that your luck increases. People call that blessings as well, but I call it, it just increases. So, guys, that plane just showed up, and that's what we didn't put in them. We didn't.
Well, you were expecting it to show up, right?
No. It's like,
I remember. No idea.
I remember we had no idea. I kept going to my team leaders and saying, "Hey guys, you know,
But did you have communication at that point? So when you were at the airport, you guys were on the ground there. Who were you talking
we had
to?
communication with each other, but our GRS staff guys, our country team leader and our base team leader, took over the communication to the CI headquarters.
So they were working on getting
so they were working on it.
transportation.
Yeah, and we were just trusting them to have that, it, you know. And but I remember I kept going up to my team members going, hey, what plane's coming? And I kept getting this every time. And even when that plane showed up, I looked at the tail boom guys, and I did say that. I looked at it and I went, I was still no Americans. I mean, disgustingly, honestly, he played that. That was so spot on, because that's what I did. I was like, shit, still no Americans. Yeah. And I went to my team leader and I said, is that for us? And he goes, I don't know. And we went, they actually went parked, turned their engines off. And I remember we went down there and talked them into flying us out. So that's how my recollection.
Did they know why they were there?
Well, the Libyan Air Force was going. So they had their pad there. They had a Libyan Air Force side of that terminal where at Benina. Okay. So it was that's where they lived. That was their spot.
So they were there specifically to get you. It wasn't like they were there on another mission or something. You guys hooked a ride back to Tripoli.
They were not there to specifically get us. They were doing something and they flew back in because there was a firefight they heard in the town and they just got called back in. It was not to come pick us up.
How'd you get them to take a Libyan aircraft and fly you guys to Tripoli? Did somebody pay them?
Dollar bills, brother. We got money. We got money, and we had a ton of money, and so that's how things get done in the Middle East, North Africa.
Whose money was it? Who had the money?
We have agency. We get money for that. So when
it was cash, you guys had a lot of cash.
It's just cash money, or there's always two. There's always, hey, we'll pay you once we get to such an area. And when we are in control of that country, the locals trust that because they know where there's an embassy or there's an annex or somewhere where they can go and say, hey, you owe us money. So I didn't see the hand chase, but I knew money was paid. I didn't see our team leader take the money out and say, here's money. But I knew that's what, because we were discussing it with them. Hey, we'll pay
after the fact. Did anybody there tell you that, yeah, we were working on it? They were working on getting us an aircraft, or they were working on it? But did you know like who was going to come? I mean, obviously that plane showed up. They weren't there to get you guys, and you used it, but you didn't know if there was.
I had no idea. And when we're sitting on that tarmac, and you don't know, you just maintain. You're just like, well, you trust. And at that point, I still trusted my leaders. I still trusted the agency and the Army, the Department of Defense. Because every time I got caught in a situation, I never got caught in a situation that horrendous, but every time we got caught, we need support, something would come and get us. And, that's why we put in the movie where Tig said, hey, we're in Iraq, a Black Hawk would come get us out of that shit. Well, did Tig say that exactly? No, but we put that in the movie because that was our experiences in Iraq and Afghanistan. It was like, hey, so a lot of the movie is like we say statements that are coming from all of us, and we try to put it where it may not be the exact statement that person said, but it's the feeling that we all have gone through. And so I assumed a U.S. aircraft would eventually come. That's when I saw the black and green and red flag. I was like, still no Americans.
At that point, I'd take any ride. Piper could have showed up, I would have been on it.
and that's how it was. And
when wheels went up, what was your first thoughts in your mind as soon as the wheels went up on the airplane?
Yeah, and forgive me to Glenn's family, and I'm not trying to do this to because I love Bub. Bub's a hero, and his family's a hero. Katie's a hero, and his brother, mother, he's tremendous, and he deserves. But why I'm going to tell you guys, I don't tell a lot of people. That's why I have before, and I've. It's out there in some aspects, but I don't say it often because it's hard for me to talk about. But I'll tell you guys that I remember we got on the plane and we didn't have body bags for Ronan and Bub, so we had sheets covered them. We had blankets and sheets. And I know the movie showed us zipping him up, Ronan in a body bag. We weren't able to do that till we actually got to Tripoli. So we had him on the floor of that C-130, Libyan C-130, and rigor mortis had sit in on Bub, so his arm was up like this. So the blankets, he's laying down, the blankets were covering him, the sheets, but his arm was sticking out. And I remember as we took off, I'm looking at it going, it's like the elephant in the room. I'm like, does nobody else see this? Because it's a little bit disturbing, and it's your friend and a teammate. And to me, it was like disrespectful to have him fly all the way for the next hour with his arms sticking out like this out of that sheet. I remember I looked over at Jack and Rowan and I mean Jack and Tig, and they were out. They were tired. Everybody was tired, of course. The D boys, I'm looking at it, and D boys they're kind of like not looking at it. You know, when you want to look at something, but you don't want to show anybody you're looking. So there's kind of, and I was like, I did. I went, fuck it. And I walked over to it and I broke his arm. I just broke I slammed it down and I I remember just hearing just everything I just because I couldn't see us flying the whole way with it up in the air. You know, I couldn't like a tent. And I remember slamming it on the ground and not viciously or maliciously, but you know, those tendons, you gotta, when rigor mortis sits in, you gotta break all that stuff. And I remember I got it pinned down on the arm and it came, not that it dislocated or anything funky happened where it looked disgusting, nothing like that. I got it down, the tendons snapped. I heard some tendons snap in there and I was able to get it flat and I laid the sheet over it. So he was covered the whole way. And that was honestly, that, even though that probably took 10 minutes, not even 10 minutes, probably 5 minutes is all. I don't remember the rest of the flight outside of that. I don't remember. I remember.
There's no conversations or anything like that?
No, it was quiet. It was, especially after that, it was very quiet. And I remember I went and sat back down just like this. And I went, and that's all I remember.
What was that plane? Was it a big cargo plane with
C-130? Yeah, it was a
like
C-130.
C-130.
No, it was actually a C-130 that the Libyan Air Force had. I'm sure it was something we had given to them at some point, but it was a Libyan C-130, and it was a little rickety. It reminded me of that plane. If you ever watched the first Major League with Charlie Sheen, where the pilot's out there taping up the like,
there you go.
You know, but yeah, that is my main remembrance. And it was quiet. Yeah, it was very, very quiet. Nobody said a word the whole flight back. Nobody said anything. Yeah.
Okay. And you said that was an hour flight. Yeah.
It's about an hour. Yeah. From Tripoli to Benghazi, it's about an hour